Hunter. It's definitely the Bo and Friends show. One of my new friends is Chris Sanders here, and Chris is homegrown in our area, and he's all about the Croods now. Now, Chris, let's just back it up. How long have you been directing?
Oh, wow. My first directing gig was on Lilo and Stitch.
Okay.
What year would that have been? Like 10 years ago?
Love Lilo and Stitch. And now, did you help create it, or you were just behind the scenes directing with the animation and voices?
Lilo and Stitch was very interesting because it was an idea I pitched. So it was my idea. I partnered with Dean Deblois, my co-director, and we wrote the story. It was an original story. And the interesting thing was they agreed to do the movie on the one condition, that it looked like I drew it. So they actually did an analysis of my drawings. There was an artist at the studio. They said, analyze Chris's drawings, figure out why they look like they look, and we're going to have the whole crew learn to draw like that. So in an unusual twist, I ended up kind of designing the film at the same time.
I love it, Chris. And where are you originally from?
I was born in Colorado Springs, but really grew up in Arvada.
Super.
Yeah.
And were you that guy that was doodling cartoons on your books all the time?
Yes, I was the school newspaper cartoonist. I earned my journalism credit by doing cartoons.
Like where teachers always going, Chris, pay attention, stop drawing things. And now you're like, look at me. With DreamWorks, the Croods opening up this Friday. Now, were you as creative as you were with Lilo and Stitch with this, or?
This is a little bit different thing. This was a project that was already going on when I joined it. It was a project that started way back in 2004, and it was originally an Aardman project, and John Cleese and my co-director on this project, Kirk D'Amico, they were writing that. I had not yet come over, and DreamWorks and Aardman split up, and DreamWorks kept this idea, and that's around the time that I came onto the movie and just rethought it. It was going to be like one of those claymation guys, real cute, you know. And we decided we were going to do it in CG. So that was what we just changed a bunch of it.
Oh, I love it. Chris Sanders here, Arvada grad. Do you ever go back to your high school? Do you ever?
You know, I was at a screening on Saturday, and I was interviewed by the high school newspaper representatives. Oh. So yeah, it was the closest I came to coming back to the school this time.
Well, very cool. And when you create these characters, and I love animation, do you have a actor-actress's voice in mind?
You know, pretty early on, I have to say that as we wrote the characters and they became more defined, you do start hearing a certain voice. And sometimes it's a good idea, you'll talk with your co-director, your co-writer, and you talk about what kind of voice you hear, because you'll begin writing for that particular voice, and you're hoping you're going to get that voice. In our case, like Nicolas Cage was the guy that we wanted to play, the dad, Grug. And so we were writing with that voice in mind. And it really helps when you do that. And we approached him about it, and he said yes. And so we got the voice that we were hoping to get.
There you go, Nicolas Cage. What are the big names attached to the Croods opening up Friday?
Oh, we got Emma Stone and Ryan Reynolds, Catherine Keener, Clark Duke, and Cloris Leachman.
Wow!
Yeah.
Can I call Cloris Leachman old school or what? Right?
Oh my gosh, she's amazing. She's such a pro. She's such a pro. She'd kind of mess around with us sometimes because she knows this stuff so well. She's been in the studio like her whole life, and we'd give her pages for that particular session. And sometimes she'd just like, so wait, what's going on here? And she'd be asking some questions, and she was just doing that for fun. And we're like, well, this is what's going on, and this is the backstory. And as we're saying that, she suddenly just nails the line perfectly. We look up at her, she's just looking at us and picks the piece of paper up and just tosses it aside.
Nice.
And then she hits the next 10. 1, 2, 3, just bam, 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 bam. We don't even have time to explain the setup for the lines. She's just nailing them. So she does it so well.
Are more and more actors and actresses, are they doing that more? Do they wing it and then you change a scene, or do you like them to stick to the script, or are you flexible like that?
No, we really love it when we can work in the session on the scene and develop the characters, because you know the actors are a huge part of the development of the character. They'll bring a lot to it. So we'll come into sessions, and we really enjoy it actually when we'll come into the session with one script and come out with a slightly different script, and we'll add a lot of stuff to it. And then of course we take that back to the studio and we'll integrate that into the story, and then the next time we meet with another actor, because we rarely have the actors in the scene or in the studio at the same time, because we will do these films over like 3 years or so. It's just not possible to get people in the studio all the time because they're doing their projects and they're traveling around. In the case of Nicolas Cage, we actually went to Bath, England for the first recording session because he was working out there. Then we followed him to New Orleans, and then to the Bahamas, to New York, to Las Vegas, to Los Angeles. So we were always traveling around to collect his recordings. And so that's a great demonstration of why you can't always get people in the same studio at the same time.
Chris Sanders, the Croods opening Friday, he got us frequent flyer mileage up chasing down Nicolas Cage for voice drops, right?
Yeah.
Chasing him all over the country, all over the world. The Croods, give us the basic about it.
Yeah, this is a caveman family that loses their cave and they go on the world's first family road trip to find another one. And on that journey, they're going to change.
Nice. I like it. I like it. It's opening Friday. Definitely get out there. Fun for the whole family, right?
Oh yeah, everybody should really enjoy it.
And any of this based off your upbringings? Did you do family road trips?
We did. At the last 2 weeks, every summer we would get in our car and we would drive someplace, like down to Florida or to California or something like that. And yeah, close confines, driving to Death Valley, you you can only imagine.
For sure, for sure. Arvada grad, and we are so happy you're doing well. Are there any other projects? I mean, the Croods opening Friday. Please, everybody go see it. Support Chris Sanders. Anything else in the works?
Yeah, we've always had a couple ideas. We haven't really decided. We are just in the last days of this guy getting it released and stuff like that. And I think that as soon as I go back later today, we'll probably start thinking about what we're going to do next. There's always something to do.
And how about early influences? What did you watch as a kid that you were doodling, cartoons, the newspaper?
Yeah.
Were you like a Fred Flintstone guy or Scooby-Doo?
Oh my gosh.
That's all I got there. Don't ask for any more, Chris. That's all I had.
Yeah, love the Flintstones. I loved Scooby-Doo, but I think the one that the cartoon I loved the most was Peanuts. I could not wait for the Sunday paper to read the Peanuts strip, and that's one of the few things I would really try to copy how Charles Schulz was doing whatever it was he was doing. Yeah, I love those.
So he was your hero. You looked up to him.
Oh my gosh, yes. And one time I was working at Disney Studios and he dropped by and he did a lecture at lunch. And I was first in line. I got right there on the front row to listen to him talk, and I remember that so well. He was such a nice guy, very smart guy.
He was an influence.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you have young people coming up to you now? I mean, with Lilo and Stitch and now the Croods, I mean, are a lot of young artists saying, hey, how do I get into it?
Yeah. I love answering those questions. As a kid growing up in Colorado, and this would be true for anybody growing up anywhere, it's a little bit of a mystery. Like, how do you get into this whole thing? I draw cartoons, but how do you get there? And so it can be a little bit mysterious. And so anytime I get a chance to talk about that with kids that want to, either cartooning or animation, I love talking about it.
Chris Sanders here, director of the Croods. Who's your favorite character in this film?
Oh, okay. I have a favorite animal character. We have a belt. He's a little sloth, and everybody really likes him, and I like him very much. He has a little, yeah. He has a little thing he does. But my favorite animal, I think, is a giant tiger. He has a huge head. I designed him. He has a giant head. He has a head like the size of a Volkswagen. And he chases the Croods through most of the movie. I think he is to Grug, the dad, played by Nicolas Cage, he is to Grug what the crocodile is to Captain Hook.
Aha!
Yeah. So I really like that guy.
And what's his name?
The Croods name him Chunky.
Chunky?
They bestow, he's one of the few animals the Croods actually name.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you ever asked, with social media, the public to give you an idea of a name? Have you reached out that?
I never thought about that. That's not a bad idea for the future.
Yeah.
So, because we've been traveling around and we've been showing different groups, different aspects of the film, and sometimes we'll do this little sort of a guessing game because a lot of the animals in the Croods, they're mashups of animals that you might recognize today, and that was a way of just figuring out, well, what's the rule that's going to govern the designing of this prehistoric world? And so we thought, well, let's change these animals and sort of combine them. So we'll go to schools and we'll show the auditoriums full of kids these animals, and a lot of times they come up with better names than we had.
There you go. I love it. Mix 100, it's the Bo and Friends Show. Chris Sanders here, director of the Croods, opening Friday. Get out there, enjoy. And let me ask, is there a little adult humor thrown in there? Because that's what I love about the animated films. I'll be the one laughing, and the kids are looking at me like, Dad, why are you laughing? That was funny. You don't get it, but I got it. That was funny.
Absolutely. It's interesting is that we never want to exclude anybody. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of humor that we find funny that I'm sure kids won't quite get. There's a father-daughter story going on. It's a whole family, so there's a lot of family relationship stuff that's going on that adults are really going to pick up on. They're going to know exactly what's going on. They're going to be able to relate to it. And there's stuff for kids as well. So yeah, everybody should enjoy it. Well,
congratulations. I can't wait. The Croods opening up Friday. It's Mix 100. Chris Sanders, our Arvada High grad. Thank you.
Right on.
That was awesome, man. You know how to roll.